Everyone wants to know what's going on locally in the market in the greater Philadelphia area, and I'm going to break down some statistics for you next that show where we are year over year and what that means for people that want to transact in the next 6, 12, or 18 months, whether you're a buyer or a seller. If you get some value out of this, you'll like what you hear, make sure to hit the subscribe button on the channel, click on the bell for notifications, and if you've got some real estate questions you need answered, click on the link in the comments to schedule a call with our team. So we're going to be doing this a little differently than we have in the past. Nick's going to put up some charts here, and the first one I want him to share is going to be the weekly snapshot from the local market area in Bright MLS. So this includes Chester, Delaware, Montgomery counties, Bucks, Philadelphia, South Jersey, and Delaware. And what we're seeing here is that new purchase contracts year over year are up 4.7% for this week compared to the same week ending April 14th last year. We're seeing that new listings are up 3.3%. We're seeing that prices are up 11.4% on the median, and we're also seeing that inventory is up 4% from this time last year in terms of all the active listings that are on the market right now. So inventory has grown, and we're right in the meat of that spring market when there's a lot of turn that happens. So what this means, when you look at some of this data here, and we're going to go over some even more important charts here in a second, or equally important charts, I should say, is that prices have increased. We're seeing more options for buyers, and we're also seeing there's less volume of showings. The number of showings compared to a year ago for that same week ending April 14th are down 20.8%. So we're not seeing quite as much activity. We are seeing that number of homes available are up and prices are up. So what this means for people that want to sell is that prices are continuing to grow. This hasn't changed, and we're also seeing that there's more options out there for people that want to buy a home, which is one of the big complaints that we saw last year and even this year. There's no inventory available, and that's really not true. There's just not a lot of stale inventory. So that's chart number one. Now I want to go to a second chart here that shows nationally what's going on with inventory. And it's national single-family home inventory. And you're going to see it goes up and down like it always does. And we are on a clear ascending path here so far this year. This is from Housing Wire and Altos Research. And that number is likely to continue to grow. And what we're going to see there is that we've seen the biggest bump in inventory over a week-to-week period that we've seen in quite a while, ending last week, which is great news for people that want to buy a home, and it's great news for people that want to sell their home and buy a new home because there's more options out there right now. So that's a major plus. The third chart I want to show you is what happened so far year over year in other major markets, and it's going to show the health of the greater Philadelphia area. So this has major markets listed: New York, LA, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Philadelphia, DC, Miami, the list goes on. Year over year, what we're seeing with home price shifts is that the greater Philadelphia area is up 7.9% year over year, and that's compared to the U.S., which is only up 4.6%. So our local market here is doing better. It's a more stable market. We're seeing that prices are growing at a high level, and we're also seeing that since that 2022 peak that everyone was concerned about, prices are up 7.7% in the greater Philadelphia area. And since March of 2022, we're up 39.4%. So this is pretty incredible numbers here when it comes to pricing, and it shows you the health of our market, which is great news if you're looking to buy a home, because we're not seeing prices go down. There's no data that indicates that, and you're able to build equity, especially if you're in a rental. You're not paying someone else's mortgage, you're paying your own. So we're seeing really healthy price growth here year over year, and that comes from Lance Lambert and his home price tracker that he puts together himself, which is pretty great. And the last numbers, what's the forecast moving ahead from the end of March this year to the end of March next year? And this comes from Zillow. And it's predicting that our Philadelphia, Camden, Wilmington MSA, the market service area, that's how Zillow does things, we're going to see 1.6% price growth year over year. I'm a little skeptical on that one. That seems a little light to me. We'll see what happens. So we're seeing healthy price growth. We're seeing inventory grow. So what does all this mean for people that want to sell or want to buy? If I'm a seller right now, what I'm looking at is price growth has been great. Inventory starting to rise. And you don't want to be out there when there's a lot of competing listings. So if you're thinking about selling, it might be the ideal time to cash out high, especially if you've got another place to go. If you don't, that's a little bit of a loaded question because you got to find the new home. And that's probably the most important part of a move when you're buying and selling is the landing spot. So that's going to be something that you want to be mindful of. But if you have a place lined up ready to go and you're thinking about selling, or your goal is just to sell high and get the best price possible, I'd be talking to an agent, getting a local analysis within a couple miles of your home in the same school district, the same town, the same city, whatever that is, the same neighborhood, so that you can understand that very clearly, what you're looking at in terms of pricing. If I'm a buyer right now, what I'm seeing is this is a great market to invest in. And it doesn't appear, based on all the national trends, what we're seeing locally, that prices are going anywhere anytime soon. Now, if you can't find the home you want, that's a different story. Obviously, you want to find a home you feel good about. You might want to think about alternative options, looking outside of like that one town you want to live in, being open-minded to maybe a fixer-upper or something like that, and know that there's a chance to build equity here at a high level. If rates come down, right now we're seeing rates at 7 1/8 today, 7 1/4, somewhere around there. If rates come down, you can refinance later. You can renegotiate the rate. You can't renegotiate the price point that you're buying in, and we're still up from the peak, right? The greater Philadelphia area is doing really well, so that tells me this is a safe market to invest in long term. Now, there's a lot of data here, so if you got questions, like I said, reach out, schedule a call with us with the link in the comments, and we'll help guide you on your real estate decision.